Hi, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for joining. I'm just going to give 30 seconds for some late arrivals, and then I'm going to dive on in. So get yourself comfy, grab your iced coffee, make sure your seat's adjusted, and we'll jump in about 30 seconds. All right. See, there's about 20 something people here. So I'll just dive on in. I'll get started. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining today. I'm Lee Ann Mazzarisi. I'm the Executive Director of Brand Operations at Whitestone. And just a little bit about me. I spent nearly a decade in the fashion world living in the grind of production, design services, and merchandising with brands Tommy Hilfiger, Kenneth Cole. And that's where I fell in love with consumer behavior, trend forecasting, and the magic of brand DNA. Fun twist, while I was at Kenneth Cole, I was a Whitestone client. And over time, I kept thinking, how do these people just get my brand? How do their ideas somehow land cooler than what we're doing in house? And how could they make anything? I was hooked. So, fast forward, I'm no longer a client and I'm here. I have the honor of leading the Whitestone art and marketing teams. I sit right where culture, creativity, and strategy collide. My job is to not chase what's next. It's to help build stories and products that mean something for brands who trust us. No pressure. I'm also a mom to a toddler. So there's just a lot to juggle, but we're going to go with it. Over the next 45 minutes ish, I like to talk, so we'll keep it light. I'm going to walk you through why trend forecasting is so important to us, share some highlights from our 2025 trend forecast and lookbook, and give you an exclusive sneak peek on what's emerging for 2026. My hope is that when you leave today, you find value in this webinar, you feel fired up, and you have fresh ways to see trends, apply them, and make your merch feel like storytelling. All right, let's go for it. We're going to start off with a icebreaker poll to get you guys warmed up. My question for you is, what's your biggest challenge when it comes to staying on trend with your brand? So if you guys can give it a little voting. What's your biggest challenge when it comes to staying on trend with your brand? Did everybody vote? All right. I'm having a little struggle on my end, but if everybody voted, I could probably take a look at this at the end. I'm hoping you're saying translating trends into offerings that fit my brand, because I'm hoping to kind of give you some insights on that today at the webinar. So we're going to dive in. At Whitestone, trends aren't fluff, they aren't just buzzwords, they're cultural signals. They reflect how people think, feel, shop, and connect. Fads come and go, but trends stick because they're rooted in, oh, sorry, people are having trouble here. Sorry about that. Uh, Trends come and go, but fads come and go rather, but trends stick because they're rooted in deep cultural change. When you see what's coming, you can design with intention, not just react. Trend forecasting is the detailed process of observing and researching shifts in culture to identify signals of change. This helps us gather accurate, focused insights to help make informed decisions as your brand partner. This is our secret weapon. It gives clarity and saves clients from wasting spend. It ensures everything we create is purpose driven. Our approach helps you stay ahead of the curve and sparks innovation in today's fast-paced world. All right, let's get into the fun part. So, our 2025 trend forecast boils down to four stories. Think of them as lenses we design through. Each one of them helps shape products that don't just show up, they resonate. Our first story is Homescape. It's all about home as a sanctuary. The chaos out there in the world today, people are retreating in here in their homes. Home has become an emotional space, cozy, mindful, expressive. Comfort isn't basic anymore, it's a luxury. Textures, calming tones, craftsmanship, even TikTok trends like bed rot and day jammies point point to this craving for comfort as identity. For brands, we want to create products that nurture both the mind and body. There's a quote that I love from McKinsey's Future Wellness Survey. And by the way, there's some QR codes peppered throughout this webinar. So feel free to scan them, save them for later. Some of them are a source of truth, and some of them are directly from our website. So take a look at some of our resources. So McKinsey's Wellness Survey for 2025 says wellness is being reframed as lifestyle and everyday practice, not just spa visits. Wellness choices bleed into how people design and inhabit their living environments. I love that quote because it truly reinforces the homescape trend. Our next trend, which is my favorite, is called Relife. Relife is all about second chances, sustainability, upcycling, breathing new life into forgotten pieces. Gen Z sees discarded items not as trash, but a creative opportunity. Thrifting, patching, reimagine vintage. It's all about uniqueness with stories. And Gen Zs are chasing vintage authenticity while millennials are pulling into nostalgia. Clients are expecting sustainable offerings without having to ask. Here's the big lesson: people don't want just product, they want to know the story of how it came to life. So let's take a little bit of a journey here. So back in January, we forecasted this trend all about accessories for accessories. And then mid-year, we had a few clients come to us and ask us the age-old question of what's trending. And we've actually produced some really great items for Relife, taking items and adding a little pop. There's a little case study there, a little proof in the pudding. But then all of a sudden in June, even before June, we started to see this little hamster gerbil called La Boo Boo everywhere. And it became this massive trend where everybody was attaching this little guy to all of their bags, backpacks. We even saw that Aldi gave away free items for the La Boo Boo. Wild. So, bottom line, get your hands on some sort of patch, trinket, keychain, and bring some new life to an existing item you might have received at a merch event or any sort of activation that you want to bring back to life. All right. Next up is workwear reimagined. Workwear has left the job site. This has now hit the streets. Modern utility is the new uniform. Tough fabrics, reinforced stitching, cargo pockets. It's not limited just to fashion anymore. The values of durability, function, and craftsmanship are as bleeding across categories. Brands that tap into this create products that last, and they look good doing it. So where do we see this coming to life out in the real world? So for fall 2025, Supreme and Dickies did an amazing collection, really inspired by utilitarian details. And if anybody's like me and is glued to their computers during Fashion Week, Prada just walked in the Milan Fashion Show, and many of the DNA within their collection this season screams this workwear inspiration. And then Whitestone just got back from their offsite in New York where we create our own merch. And we actually took this trend, brought it to life through one of our tote bags and a chore jacket that we created for our Whitestone Avenue collection. So this is one of the trends that we're seeing just coming to life out in the real world today. All right, next up is sportscore. SportsCore is about energy and belonging. It takes outdoor focus we saw last year and fuses it into sports culture. We're living in an era where running gear is streetwear, wellness is lifestyle, health, movements, and performance are all wrapped into everyday apparel and accessories. It's technical, team spirited, and it gives brands a chance to tie into the sense of confidence and community. So, just today on Instagram, Business of Fashion shared that the intersect of sports and fashion has never been hotter than it is today. The sports sponsorship marketplace is projected to grow beyond 160 billion by 2030, according to PwC. So, seems like an opportunity for some great merch inspired by sportswear. And then this year, we saw a ton of collaborations bring this trend to life. Nike's and Skims, Travis Kelsey's American Eagle collection. We're seeing inspirations of F1 DNA in all sorts of items with that Formula One jacket kind of coming all around the markets. And also just the craze around pickleball and how all of a sudden everybody is playing pickleball. All right. We're going to do another chat poll. If this one doesn't work, let's just try it out anyway. But my question to you is, which 2025 trend feels most relevant to you right now? Which one feels most relevant to you right now? Okay, this one I can actually see. All right. Yep, polls are working. All right. Awesome. So it seems like everyone is aligned with relay. Is that what I'm seeing? Perfect. Mackenzie in marketing is helping me on the back end, and she just texted me, yes, you're seeing the same thing. So perfect. All right, everyone. I'm glad to hear that. There's so much to do in that story and so much to create or recreate. All right. So now with these big stories of 2025, stories can only come together with the colors that bring them to life. And because color isn't just a decoration, it's an emotion. And it's often the first thing that consumers respond to. So for 2025, we forecasted four distinct color directions shaping the market. Each one is a tool for telling your brand story, and I'm going to quickly walk through them because I think that they're extremely important for you to walk through. All right, so we're going to start quickly with sepia tones. This is, if have ever worked in fashion, you would call these your core colors, right? These are your warm, rustic neutrals, oatmeals, creams. These are your grounding shades. They're timeless, elevated, and versatile, and they're easy to layer on across category. This palette's about trans-seasonal wear and tonal dressing. Then we go into futuristic darks. This palette is moody, expressive, a little cosmic, olive greens, deep purples, midnight blues. Product that feels strong and confident, but with a futuristic twist and a heavy focus on the hard good categories. It's really great to see some of these colors in the hard good space. All right, and then on the flip side, we have Sherbert pastels. If you haven't bought a pastel item yet, surely get on that. They're playful, powdery, chalky, and they bring a sense of optimism and youth. They work beautifully in wellness and lifestyle categories. And finally, intergalactic auras. This is the boldest palette this year. Neons, bright aquas, metallics, iridescence. It's all about escapism, play, and pushing design into digital meat focus spaces. All right. So trends are really only matter if we apply them. And our holiday lookbook, which is featured in that QR code there, is a perfect example of our forecast in action. We didn't just say workwear was having a moment or shop sustainably. We mapped our insights directly into relevant product categories for our clients. Highlights of our lookbook are intentional and they tie back to our trend stories shaping 2025. From there, we curated brand and product selections that actually show these stories in action. So we're going to start with Relife. As you know, this story is all about giving life to old with a focus on sustainability. That's why we included Got Bags as our featured brand spotlight. Got Bags is a brand making eco conscious backpacks, bags, and accessories from recycled ocean plastics. Not only do they align with the values and the heart of the real life trend that you all love, but it also gives our recipients something useful and purpose driven. Next, we talk about workwear reimagined. It's not about those rigid uniforms. It's about evolving essentials that blur the lines between work and play. That's where the brand Everywhere Apparel comes in, and one that we wanted to highlight in our lookbook this year. They're 100% recycled cotton collections made in the US, and they deliver a premium look and feel with a planet forward purpose. They're elevated, sustainable, and the kind of everyday pieces people want to rock. So, when your holiday gifting reflects what people are truly living, craving, and celebrating, the impact is immediate. Recipients don't just receive an item, they feel understood, and the impact is immediate. Recipients are proud and remember the product and the brand for it. We at Whitestone love to help you bring these trend stories to life, bring these product stories to life. So if you haven't started working with your sales rep for holiday, what are you waiting for? Keep that scanned holiday lookbook and reach out to them today because time is ticking. We've already seen some rush orders coming through, so we're excited to work with you. All right. Now let's take a look ahead. We just talked about 2025 and in the moment, but we at Whitestone are already tracking cultural signals shaping 2026 and are ready to share a sneak peek with you guys of our trend stories. Okay, here we go. So, our first story for 2026, I wish that there was a drum roll sound that I could play, but is called Quiet Revival. We're entering an era of cultural rest. After years of hyperconnectivity, customers, especially Gen Z, are starting to crave disconnection. Not a rejection of tech entirely, but a balance, a search for peace, joy, and real world connection. Sorry. All right, let's take a look at a stat just to kind of prove that this story is happening. 52% of Gen Z said that they feel peaceful offline, according to Trend Watching. TikTok has made 88 million posts tagged hashtag slow life when I made this slide, so it might be up already, but proving that people are already openly romanticizing slowness, simplicity, and off screen rituals. And then Pinterest predicts for 2025 flagged rest stops and digital detox rituals as rising microtrends. So, what I want you to think here is create rituals, not just products, that encourage togetherness and mindful downtime. Elevate tactile experiences. Consumers want to touch, feel, smell. They want those moments that balance this digital overload that we're all experiencing. All right. So you're probably thinking, cool story, Leanne, awesome, but what kind of product do I make? What kind of product do I want? What should be creating? Glad you asked. Well, here's some really great products that would go into the Quiet Revival story. So, this is just a little look at a collection that could be done. Phone free concerts, board game nights, crafting, wellness retreats where your lockbox isn't just for your jewelry, it's for your iPhone now. The mood is less hustle and more harmony, and products that help people unplug and reconnect. So, how is Whitestone ahead of this trend? Because we are. So, a few weeks ago, Whitestone hosted its first ever client event in New York City. Our event featured interactive activations like deco your own hat and patch bar, plus an aura photography booth where guests could capture their energy of the moment. So, of course, social worthy experiences still matter. Check out our socials. But the real magic happened that day when we gave people the space to disconnect and create. That pause fuels emotional resilience and it lives on through tangible, customizable keepsakes that they were able to take home with them. Whitestone is not just forecasting the movement. We're providing our clients with branded merch, logistical details, and creative strategies to design these unplugged brand moments into activations. And take a look at that QR code. That is a case study on our client event, which will give you a little bit more about the event and the products that we had at the event. All right, let's get into color because we forecasted that as well. Visually, we're seeing a restorative color direction that excites us, excites me. So bring on Mediterranean. What a fun color name. Teal represents this state perfectly. It's not as serene as a pure blue or as earthy as a green, but it's a nice blend in between. So what I wanted to say was, and that's just a sneak peek, we will have our 2025 full trend forecast ready for everybody the end of January 2026. And I plan to do another webinar where I walk through the trends that we forecasted for 2026. So stay tuned. All right, so let's wrap her with a bow here. And it looks like I didn't talk as much as I wanted, so it gives you guys back some time in your day. All right, so wrapping her up. Trend forecasting isn't about chasing what's popular. It's about building trust and relevance for your brand. Whitestone applies trends intentionally. We turn cultural insights into meaningful merchandise strategies. And finally, by staying ahead, with previews like our 2026 forecast, we have to give you guys a competitive edge to connect with your audience authentic and in lasting ways. So we'd love to partner with you to bring these ideas to life, whether through seasonal collections, long-term campaigns, one-off activations, client events of your own. So definitely reach out. And thank you so much for spending time with me today. I would love to stick around, answer any questions you guys might have. I believe you can type those questions in to the chat. So I'm happy to kind of stick around and answer. If not, please connect with me on LinkedIn. I'd love to stay connected with you. I'm always posting some cool trends or collaborations that are out there. And then, of course, connect with us at Whitestone. There's QR there to follow us and then subscribe to our newsletter. We send a newsletter out every 2 weeks, and it's great. It's filled with trends, new products, colors, things we're doing at Whitestone, and we'd love for you to be there. So thank you guys so much, and I'll stick around if anybody has any questions. Question. Oh my gosh, comes right in. How do you stay ahead of trends? Oof, that's a good one. Um, I would say that I immerse myself in every corner of culture. So I'm looking at business reports, streetwear drops, forecasting platforms. I'm going down the crazy Reddit rabbit holes in the middle of the night when my son isn't sleeping. You name it. I'm also subscribing to all of the lifestyle newsletters that you're probably unsubscribing from to clean out your inbox. Uh, really, just the point is that culture's not happening in one lane. It's you have to identify a trend across a ton of signals and really in engulf yourself into many different markets so that you could identify those signals and connect the dots all around. And some of my favorite places to read about trends or culture is um, WGSN, The Skim, Hypebeast. I look at McKinsey Insight. I look at BOF. So those are some ways that I stay ahead. Hopefully that answers your question. It's weird when you can't interact back and you just kind of get those questions pop up. So what was your favorite trend from 2025? Oh, great question. So I feel like it's twofold. I love Relife because I love this idea of taking an item that I would have discarded and really giving it new life. But I also feel like I lean towards workwear reimagined. I really love the utilitarian details and the functionality of a lot of the workwear influences. I feel like it's really awesome to see that walk the runway now and how those intricacies are being applied to product across the board, but also just being a general craze across the market. So it's really nice to see. Anybody else? Those are two good questions. All right. Okay, guys. Well, you can always, oh, thank you for going back to that. You can connect with me at any time, and we hope to see you for the 2026 webinar in January. And I hope everybody has a great rest of their day. Bye, everybody.